Hi, I'm Matt from HockeyReviews.ca, and this is the Prostockhockeysticks OG Blue, which is this one right here with the blue undertones, hockey stick review. So if you don't know exactly what this one is, when Prostockhockeysticks came out with their new lines of sticks, with their new logos like this, with the new branding and flex on here like this, and you could see it on the name bar also right here as well. Ended up coming out with a new kind of budget stick. Previously, it was this stick, which had the blacked out pro here, and it was yellow underneath, called the yellow line. It used a basket weave, as you can see in the design there, as well as on the blade here. This is actually very similar in terms of materials to what Connor McDavid still uses in his SuperTax 2.0 stick, but they kind of went a different route with their new budget line and value conscious one. They have the Pro Reserves. This is the OG Blue. They also have an OG Red. Red is for the lower kick point. This is their mid kick stick, and you can see on the top here, it does have the OG logo on here. So this is slightly different than what you've kind of seen previously from their more price point value stick, but it is basically the re-release of their previous top end sticks at a lower price point. So this review will cover that stick, compare it to the yellow line, which was one of my favorite sticks ever to use and was a ridiculous value on it. And I'll also do a bit of a comparison compared to the new lines. First of all, huge thanks to Prostockhockeysticks for sending me the whole new line as well as this OG Blue to do reviews on and to make content on. You should have been able to see my reviews of their previous lines already, which I talk about a lot of depth and go over all of them. I've been a huge fan of this company for a while. I have a bunch of custom sticks I have bought from them previously, like these two right here, which I will still be doing a video on coming in the future. So huge thanks for them for this, but also make sure you check out all the other ones so you know kind of what model you should probably look at, as well as I do have a comparison video on Pro. There's missing a P on here. 9246, which is that famous now Zegras curve, comparing it to a P92 as well to a 28, as well as a P90 TM, which is kind of a blend of all of them. So check out that video for a bunch of info on that as well to find out which one might work best for you and which one you might be interested in. So also to begin on this, a bunch of the stuff on here is the same as in the other sticks. So you'll see parts of it where I'm just reusing the same footage. There's no point me redoing it over and over again. Now, a big thing also before I jump into this, I always see comments online talking about these sticks and what they are and stuff like that. And there's some really weird statements out there. I'll just say this, and I made a post about this before. There are absolutely NHL players using this stick right now. I think there have been a couple people with this logo that have sneaked through in the NHL as well, but they're pretty easy to tell when NHL players are using the sticks regardless of the logo. Look on the underside, you see that stripe, and basically that's it. Kind of have a decent idea of what stick that is. Now, some names I'm going to talk about here, and I'm sure there's more. I've kind of posted about them when I see people using them, and I post on Instagram, but I'll just say it here. These have not been clarified by Prostockhockeysticks at all. They will not discuss them. I try to get confirmation and they don't answer me for those and just ignore it. So first of all, Tage Thompson did use one of their sticks to get the hardest shot earlier in the year. I think that number has been since surpassed, but when he did it, you could see he was using a non-branded stick, and I posted about that, and I have a post about it on my website as well. So if you want to check that out, you can, and you can see pictures of him using that. Now also, let's just call it with the big elephant in the room, or the GOAT in this sense. Alexander Ovechkin used one of these sticks to break the NHL records. Now again, Prostockhockeysticks is not confirming that whatsoever, and there is no way to really check that, but you can see people selling one of these used sticks on eBay, and you take a look at it, and you take a look at what's on the underside of this stick, and you kind of get an idea of what kind of stick that is. Again, not confirmed by anyone, but put two and two together and you kind of have an idea of what that stick is. For all the new models of the sticks, they have new tapers, and you can see that taper evident on this VF right here, where it gets really thin and then kind of comes out pretty quickly, but isn't as gradual as what is on the OG Blue and this yellow line. Now, the interesting thing is I think this yellow line is kind of playing some tricks on you in terms of overall taper size because of the yellow actually on the stick. Now, it does look like the blue is more aggressive basically right here, but I brought out my digital caliper and actually measured at specific point next to these two sticks to see if there actually is a size difference or if it's just my eyes playing tricks on me because of the color painted on right here. And from what I could tell, this is the same coming down in actual size all the way through. So the taper is the same or super similar to another. And again, it does look kind of misleading because of, I think, the color is the most part. You're looking at it and it does look like the blue is thinner up here. But again, when I took that caliper, it ended up being the exact same. So check out the links in the description as well as the pinned comment to Aycane. Click that link and use the coupon code and you'll get a discount, which helps support the channel. It gives me a kickback so I can keep making more content and doing more videos. So you're buying hockey stuff, in this case, base layers or clothing, and it helps help support the channel so I can keep making more purchases and doing more reviews. And if you want to support the channel without buying hockey specific things or these base layers, you can always support the channel through Buy Me a Coffee and Patreon. Everything through any of those links always comes back into the channel and is greatly appreciated. Now, spec wise on the new OG Blue, or I guess the old stick, it is the same as previous OG Blue, so you get the same carbon weave. It's also the same weave that is on the newer lines as well, so that is an upgrade over this yellow line, which was that basket weave. This is a huge personal preference thing, and this basket weave is heavier and cheaper, but the feeling of it is slightly different, which I'll talk about in the blade a little bit. But the weave you get on there is the same as those new lines and the previous red line and blue line. Now, shaft shape is also a rounded square. Unfortunately, I ended up losing the cut off piece of this, so I can't really show it off all that well, but it is just a rounded square. And really, unfortunately, the best way I can really show it off is through this, because I did cut that off, so I apologize for this. And this is definitely an awkward angle, but hopefully you can see down here that the shaft shape just does have some rounded corners, but overall is pretty square. There's nothing going crazy on here, no concave walls or anything like that, pretty standard. Now, one thing that this stick has differently compared to the new models is it does not have this Pro Reserve type of butt end plug like you can see here, which I didn't really like. This has a normal butt end plug. I tape over it just so it stays in place and doesn't fall out of my sticks, but you can kind of see it in there. It's just totally flat and nothing special. So this one doesn't have that new one that I know some people really like, and I just simply didn't like and didn't really use. Shaft length on these OG Blues is also listed on their website. So if you got an 85 flex like I did, it will probably say extended on there, which means the shaft length is really that much longer than what this stick is at. So I believe it's 63 inches. I'll put it on the screen for the actual spec. Now, unfortunately, this stick does not have the basketball textured or any of the textured features that I like on my stick. This is just the normal kind of stock stick. They just went with a normal smooth grip on here, and the grip is honestly just fantastic. It feels nice and grippy. It's solid all around. I mentioned this over and over again, and I will do so. I think this is basically the second best grip you can get on the market. Only one really beating it feels like Bauer from my experience. Warriors are pretty good now too, but this one is really good and it grips solid and it feels solid. And the grip also doesn't feel like it's super thin. It feels like, which is weird, it doesn't have a dampening to it, but it just feels like it's more solid than you feel on some other sticks. This is great. Companies have been doing a good job though, going towards a more grippy feel. CCM is one of those companies, but Prostockhockeysticks has always been very good with it. So I'm happy that this is still really good and solid in that way. Now, when you go custom, you can get your own custom cool grips. This obviously isn't in just the stock one, but it feels really good to use and I love actually playing with it. So graphics on this stick is slightly different than what the new ones were. You can see Pro Reserve on the actual label itself versus the question mark logo. And the rest of the stick is also just ever so slightly different. The name bar is their old style name bar without the question mark and without kind of funky colors in it. And it doesn't have flex rating ghosted in it. It's just printed on there. Still has the kick point on there, and on the underside it is just that blue, but they added the question mark down here compared to the old ones which just stopped, so that is kind of a nice touch there as well. Now, I don't think it's all that pretty. It could have been a nicer blue, but who cares, and it really makes no difference. But they also do have the OG on there for the actual line, and then Pro Reserve intended for unprofessional use only. I like the little joke and tongue-in-cheek part for it, but let's be real, very minimal. It looks like all those blackouts. I do like how the underside is still there. It lets you know what it is. It lets you know it's not just a normal blackout, which every seemingly website and stores are now selling. So it is something different than that, and it definitely shows on here. But looking at it from the side, it's super understated. It's just black. Pro text on there is kind of easier to see, which is nice as well compared to the old blacked out Pro. For durability, I've had zero issues with this stick, and I've had very minimal issues with any of the Pro sticks at all. And really the closest thing to an issue I've had is chipping on the blade of my yellow line, as you can see there, which is kind of interesting since the basket weave old CCM sticks had a ton of toe issues and they would kind of chip like this. So I had that on the yellow line. I haven't seen that anywhere else. Weirdly though, this isn't helicoid. And from what I understand, based on internet talk, any blade damage is all because of helicoid, but this doesn't have it. So it's weird. But I've had zero issues with durability on this, but I will reiterate this from the VS line. I have had people reach out to me about the blades breaking on some of the sticks. So I'm going to put that in here and just talk about some of the issues people have had with their blades. I haven't noticed it personally. I don't know anyone personally has really had issues, but people reach out to me and I do want to share that feedback. I've had a couple people who play pro in Europe, or at least if it's not pro, it's very high level hockey in Europe, and they bought these to use because they wanted a specific curve, which their team affiliate for equipment companies didn't offer the curve on. They said that they went through a ton of blades on them and the blades were breaking on them and they were going dead pretty quickly. I haven't had that mixed experience myself. Obviously though, I'm not on the ice like a professional or very high level hockey player is, who's on the ice practicing 7 times a week, 5 times a week with practices as well as games. I'm just playing games as a beer leaguer, so I can't go down that route for actual overall durability and stuff like that. I did mention, and I have mentioned in the past, these are used in the NHL. The amount of sticks they can go through is obviously a lot higher than beer leaguer. I haven't had issues with these sticks at all. Now, this stick has been one of my most used sticks now for this line, just because once I basically did the VF, and I also used this against the VF, I was using this stick a lot to compare it to the other sticks, and this was basically in the rotation for a while. You can see some of the damage on it from here and over here, but the grip itself is, and the spray itself is holding up pretty good. Down here, there is no spray, so it stops about right here, down to here, and then you get a shark skin like finish down there. But you can see some of the chipping that is going on the stick itself and the grip, but you see some right down there. And then we come up here and you can see a bit more on there. There isn't a lot overall, and it's doing a pretty good job considering how many pucks this thing has blocked. Now, there is some cracks in the actual grip. So you can see right here, there's a bunch down here, and I can kind of scratch some of that away. I don't think this is an actual carbon crack. I have no issues using this stick still, but it is definitely on the grip itself at least, and I can kind of flake away the grip for it, and you can see some of the grip chipped right there as well. I have no issues with this stick holding up in terms of actual like shooting, and it doesn't feel like it's going to break at all, and I've blocked a ton of shots with it, but I did notice those marks on it, so I wanted to call it out. But I don't really think it's going to be an issue, and it hasn't been an issue so far, but you can see it does have some of that grip falling off on it and chipping off it. Now, the difference between this and say like a CCM, you can see like a bunch of marks right here. With CCM and the paint underneath, the paint often flakes and the grip often flakes a lot more. So even though this does have some damage to it and flaking, you can see I can't really just flake it all off and chip it off, which happens a lot on CCM. So it's definitely doing better than that. Blade construction on the OG Blue is different than what is on the new lines. So on the new lines right here, it is that textured finish, which is on most retail sticks now. Whereas on the OG line, it's a shark skin spray. So it has a bit of grip and kind of texture to it through that spray versus the new one, which is kind of a pressed finish when it does the carbon. The idea behind these is kind of similar. It still gives a textured kind of grip on both of them. Does it perform better on another? I can't tell a difference. Sticks have been going this route a lot recently. This is their OG one, so I have no issues with it having that shark skin. For the blade actual material, it's the same as what is on the other ones. It's that 18K, I think I'll put a correction if it isn't 18K, carbon fiber on the blade itself. Same with on the shaft. So nothing crazy on there. Now, blade feel and construction is the same between them all. They all feel exactly the same. How it compares to like the FT7 Pro and like the LX2 Pro. And I want to clarify something on here because I brought out the VF yesterday from filming this video and did a direct comparison to the FT7 Pro when I was like actually skating and playing, and something I noticed differently on here and something I sort of forgot. And I don't think they actually have the tech on here anymore in terms of like showing what it is. CCM has changed their blades on here for a while to make it more dampened when puck handling, and then it gets pingier and it feels more pingy when shooting. It really does work. And I noticed when I did my testing in the basement for that video, I was wrong. Now, yesterday on the ice, I took the VF and I did hard passes side by side with my producer compared to the VF and the FT7 Pro, and the VF does honestly feel more dampened than what the FT7 Pro does on those hard passes. For stick handling, I would say they're pretty similar to each other, but that is going to translate down to the VX as well because they are all the same blade makeup. The one thing that kind of slightly disappoints me a little bit is the removal of this basket weave from the yellow line and that kind of Super Tax 2.0 build. The stick for the yellow line was heavier, its balance is worse. It doesn't feel like even like This for $151 is way better than this for $151. But I loved the blade feel of this basket weave. I think there's a reason why people still kind of want it at the pro scene enough where McDavid, who is a creature of habit, which let's be real, but that does feel different. And I do like the feel of this different. It feels slightly more dampened than what the new one does, which also still feels more dampened than a lot of others. It's not a bad thing. It's just my preference was this yellow line feel. I still go back to this stick and I love playing with it. It's a very minimal thing, but I still loved it. With that said, one thing that I do have to bring up on this, because I hear about it a lot, especially on these sticks, and for people who think that this stick is nothing special and it's just like an AliExpress type special. Yes, a lot of sticks are made in China, like this one. Yes, it was sourced from a factory. When I grab those blanks from most companies, and I've noticed it with Hockey Stick Man Blackout, not the Pro Blackout, just the Blackout. A teammate of mine had a Blade Tech stick. I shot that and used that a few times. The puck feel on it and just like the stick feel felt very dead. It feels very, this is just pulled off of AliExpress or something and slapped in here. This stick does feel differently. This stick actually does have a bit of a blade feel to it, and when you change the different carbons, you definitely notice it. And when I go like that, it feels a bit more muted, but the stick doesn't feel like I am using a knockoff stick basically in a no brand stick. It feels better than that. And feel is obviously very subjective. I've been a huge person about blade like makeup and about feel before. This feels solid. It feels really nice. I like it. It's more dampened. There's other models that they have, like the Model E and the G63, that I think feel even better than what this does. It does feel different than what those generics do. And I think that's a testament to the stick. Because I lost this piece, I can't do a direct weight comparison on it, unfortunately, but it's approximation. The initial weight on this stick was 423 grams. So while this isn't the exact end piece that was on the OG Blue, it's close enough. So take away, I'm not gonna say 15 because it's a bit thicker sidewalls. Even take away 10 grams and it falls within the actual weight range that they post on their website, which you can see here as well. Now, obviously this is their budget line, so they're not trying to go for the super lightweight, and they make that very notable, but this weight is totally solid and completely fine, and I actually love the balance. So when I showed off the weight, you obviously see that number. The big thing about weight is balance though. And this is where I like the OG Blue more for balance than things like this VX. And the OG Blue, kind of the VS as well, were my favorite in terms of balance. This one is heavier. Holding these two side by side, it feels heavier. The OG Blue is a heavier stick. You notice it. The VX is lighter. With that said, I don't mind it. The balance on the OG Blue is pretty like blade. You notice it. It doesn't feel like it doesn't have a blade, more so than the VX. I really believe that just straight up though, that the OG Blue is heavier, and when it's heavier, it's not like more weighted towards the blade. They're pretty similar. The materials are the same. The blade design is the same. So really it's just that the shaft is lighter on this, and this one just feels slightly heavier overall. It does feel like it just drops easier. While the balance isn't far from these, I notice myself enjoying the OG Blue more. Now, when I go to a stick that is older, this is a Sync, because I broke my tracer on my like third game with it. The Sync itself feels lighter than the OG Blue does. It should, it's lighter, but the Sync also doesn't feel like it has a lot of blade weight to it. It feels like the weight is more higher up, just because putting the weight lower makes the stick feel heavier. So I'm here, it definitely feels like the OG Blue staying on the ice more, and why it's my preference. Finally, we get to a stick that I feel like the OG Blue isn't my preference for, and that's the LX2 Pro. Both of these feel pretty similarly balanced. Like I have zero issues with LX2 Pro popping up off the ice. I love it for playing defense. I knock pucks out of the air with this super easy. I poke pucks away from people super easy. I can reach and pull with super easy. So the balance on this is phenomenal for it. The big difference between these two is the weight. You do notice the 20 grams-ish or whatever is on here. Maybe it's even less than that. But when I put these two next to each other and play with these two, I do notice that a little bit extra weight on the OG Blue compared to the LX2 Pro. The LX2 Pro is basically my baseline at this point. So it's kind of tough because it's my favorite stick, and this is competing against my favorite stick. It's still fine, but I do notice the difference between those two, and I would prefer the LX2 Pro for that. Now, the real competition is when you go into for dollar versus the yellow line, and this OG Blue just kills the yellow line completely. The yellow line is so much heavier than what this OG Blue is. The balance on them both feel pretty good and pretty much the same, but I'm just so much more sluggish with the yellow line compared to the OG Blue. I actually brought this stick out so I could do some comparisons with the OG Blue, because it is a mid kick just like this, and I just felt lost compared to it. Going back and forth was a big jump in weight, and the blue just blows out of the water. So while I missed the like kind of puck feel on this yellow line a bit, this is just a better stick all around, and the balance on it is pretty similar to it, but the weight is so much down that it's very noticeable and it's very much more usable. For saucing and passing, I'm going to just put the actual blade part of this into the video from previous ones because the blade is the same. And this is just a P92, so this changes based on the blade. I always talk about the blade thickness and how Pro Stock Hockey Sticks has been really good with this in the past, and like Bauer was really good with this, and Warrior now with their crazy blade on the QR6 Pro is very good with this. But like sauce passing with this blade is so easy and feels absolutely fantastic. Now this is my preferred curve, this or the M, P92M. So it's very, very familiar with me, so I don't have to really adjust with it. Whereas, so the VF and the VS were a different curve, so it was a bit different in that sense. But for passing with this stick, like for saucing, it's so easy to get the puck up. It just kind of floats. It's super controllable for me. I really love the blade shape. It's a P92 shape, but the blade thickness and everything really allows you to get under the puck and just flip it up really easily. I felt like it was super easy for me to do sauce passes on these that I wanted, or just to throw it off the boards or ice, like getting up in the air, just a little flick, and it just floats up. It is fantastic for that. Now, for the final part of it, which is actually hard passes and like it kicking out, which also goes into the flex profile and the actual kick point. For the passing part of that, it is so consistent and so wonderful. I still think the VS might be a little bit better for this, just because you can do whatever you want with the VS because it's so high kick that it's just not gonna kick. This one, if I really go, it still shoots a little bit, but it's a mid and it's controllable and it is so great to use. I love passing with this stick. Multi-line passes, easy. It's so easy to use. It's so controllable. This kick point and everything works really well with passing. And with the excellent blade, allowing easy sauce passes up. You can keep it lower if you want to. It won't kick out on you, but you can also kind of sauce it and lift it up a bit more for more of a shot. Like easy, right along the ice. It doesn't kick out on you. It's still a hard pass. Now for that flex point, it is a mid-kick flex. And mid-kick is a bit different than hybrid, but they're kind of so close to each other now. The real difference is a mid-kick is supposed to kick basically right here, which is obvious. And I feel like it does. It doesn't feel like when I go like this, it's really kicking anywhere where it's supposed to. That isn't a great shot. You have to place your hands right. And if you go low, it doesn't feel like it wants to do that either. It wants to be in the middle with your hands where it should, and it kicks and it's good. There is a difference between hybrids and mid all the time. The one thing is why this is always kind of a bit confusing is this is not a high kick, and it's not like a Supreme like the VS is and like the Tax were. It's more of, it's in here, it's more manageable, it's like that nexus. So that's where the hybrid kind of designation of other sticks can be a bit confusing. It's not a Supreme, it's not a Novium, it's not a Tax, it's a mid. It's pretty easy to work with, and I think most people will work with it. It doesn't give you easy releases when you go high, it doesn't give you easy or good releases when you go low. So that means when you do stuff like that, it doesn't really kick and it doesn't really help you much. You have to be a bit more like correct in technique with that. This is an 85. It feels just like an 85. It doesn't whip out on me when I don't expect it. It doesn't feel too stiff, and it doesn't feel like I can't flex enough to get a good shot off. And you want to support the channel, and you need a base layer and a protective, kind of supportive base layer that helps protect your growing as well as your hips. Check out the Cortech. This is the Pro 1.0 pant, so this one is not quite as restrictive, and this is kind of tight right here in this X pattern. You might have seen these as Under Armour before, or Bauer for the hockey specific ones. There's also the Core 3.0, which is a lot stiffer, as you can see. Really helps protect my growing and keeping it kind of in place and make sure it doesn't overstretch itself. There's a discount code, and you click the link in the description. Use that discount code to get a discount off, help support myself, as well as get you some pretty awesome base layer pants that really do help with injury prevention and help stabilize your core while playing. Now for shooting performance. When I took this yellow line before, I could fire it, but it never brought it to that level that really, really wowed me, that, let's be real, top price sticks do of the big companies. I could get it. I could shoot it, it felt pretty good, but it wasn't feeling like I was on a next level. It's the same for this Pro OG Blue, and it's been the same for this brand since every one I've used. I can get it,
Feels like a good shot, pretty confident with it. I had a goal in my last game with this one where I blew it by the goalie. I had another one where I also hit the post through a screen. That was a rocket. But then there's other times where it's just like, oh, it could have been better. This is good enough. It's not that top level. I don't take this stick out, take a shot, and like, wow, which happens when I take out those new True Stick. It's just, I'd go out, take a shot. Yeah, it's kind of what I was expecting. With that said, I talked about the flex profile and stuff like that. This stick isn't helping you either. It's just kind of doing its thing, and it expects you to make the correct shot. And when I mentioned lower doesn't do anything, higher really doesn't do anything, it has to be right there for it to really work well. Now, it wasn't something where you really have to think like a VS and a high kick to get the shot off if it's not your natural shot, like type and shape, where if I have this puck on the blue line, I really don't have to like really think and lean into it. I do kind of have to pull it. Nice. Like on the blue line, if I have it, I don't have to really think of it all that much, lean into it like the VS does. I still have it, and I can just like pull it around someone pretty easily and can get it off pretty quickly without really worrying about it that much. And it's much easier to release than that VS is. So it's pretty solid for that. Slap shots on it are just okay. They're nothing crazy. Feel okay. There's better sticks for it, to be totally honest, but it's solid. If you have a good shot technique and you can take good slap shots, you're gonna be able to shoot it good, which is kind of the basis of it. Now, when I go to the sink, this is a stick where I really wasn't wowed all that much with shooting. And when I go back to this, compare it to the OG Blue, it really doesn't feel more special than anything else. And it really doesn't wow me. I use this stick and I'm not impressed that much. Yes, it is older, but it was a lot more money. But what does that say of this OG Blue and kind of Bauer when the two competing kind of lines of hundreds of dollars apart from each other are kind of the same level of wow shooting? In fact, I would actually kind of prefer the OG Blue a little bit for shooting. It's good enough. And if it's competing against sinks that were more money, it's pretty good. Now, this isn't a mid kick, but it's a hybrid. And this is, like I said, my baseline. When I take this out and shoot it, comparing it to the OG Blue, it just wows me more. And it just feels like it has that more kick to it. And this like shot has a release to it. It's easier for me to just get off a slightly harder shot. And it's easier for me to get off the best shot I can do. And there's more times when I shoot LX2 Pro compared to that OG Blue, and I'm like, yeah, it was really good. There was nothing left in it, where sometimes I kind of realize if I had a different stick, it might have been a bit more, might have come off a little easier, might have come off a little harder. That's been the same thing with Pro Stock Hockey Sticks from the beginning. It's good, it's just not the top. It's good enough. Pros are using them and can shoot them fine, which is more of a testament of how good pros are, to be totally honest, than how the stick is. Like, the stick is still great and it's really good, but if they're not losing anything, it's obviously not the tools. But people like me who aren't pros and are nowhere near pros, who need that little bit of extra help, this isn't giving you that little bit extra help. It's still solid. I'm still happy with it. Happy with that shot. It was pretty good overall. Not gonna complain about it, especially for the price. So it's good. It's on the best.
Is this simply the best stick for the money that you can buy right now? And I just can't find anything that even comes close to this. This is $152 for this stick. That's Canadian, and it weighs about 400 grams, which is still pretty solid. You have a ton of curve options, which is solid. It's a pretty decent mid kick. The kicking isn't world beating, but it's good enough. And it's good enough that I wouldn't go to a sink versus this, which I don't know if that's telling us something about Bauer or telling something about this, but that means it's competitive enough in there. And for the price, it is absolutely ridiculous. Pro Stock still exists, generally more expensive-ish than this, and they really don't have a warranty. This has a warranty, better options in terms of getting the actual curve you want, and stock as well. Obviously, yes, these are still kind of drops, so they're a bit harder to get stock than like a bigger company and going through a ton of different stores. The value proposition for this thing is just absolutely so ridiculous. While I do like their new ideas on their new sticks, I would probably end up picking this stick as my choice between them all. So that is pretty ridiculous. And this is their cheap version. Now, the balance on this was great. Everything I use on this is great. When I use this stick, the only thing I really come back to, like, oh, I wish it was more. I wish I had a bit more kick, which has been a thing with this brand since the very first time I used it. And also, I wish the balance was slightly different, maybe a little lighter, but that is like an extreme nitpick because there's really only a few sticks that I would go to for that last statement. Like when I put this right up against an LX2 Pro, which is more of a hybrid kick, I like my LX2 Pro better. It shoots a bit better. The balance is better. I find it easier to pull pucks away from people, steal pucks from people, use one hand on the stick and stuff like that. It's minimal though. Going to this, I really don't feel like I'm a worse hockey player, and I'm happily grab this from my stick rack to use over and over again. You really have to be like, am I going to justify 4 of these sticks basically for a brand new Bauer stick or a CCM stick? And that's kind of nuts. If I broke all my sticks right now and I had to buy new sticks, I would just buy this. Value of it's so good. This quality of it's solid. Yes, the new lines are a bit better in terms of shot performance. They're definitely better for weight overall, things like that. And there obviously is more tech or slightly different tech in them with different shaft shapes as well as the actual tapers in them, but this is a solid baseline and is still really good. So easy stick to recommend, with especially for the price point. It's very hard to beat. It's basically my go-to of, hey, I want a budget stick that's pretty solid. Yeah, let's get an OG Blue. Now this is where I say, if you want to see me review specific pieces of gear, let the companies know on social media that you want to see hockey reviews, review their equipment. I had a ton of stick requests recently, as well as gloves and like protective. Let them know, like Bauer, CCM, on Instagram and stuff like that you want to see me review their gear. Huge thanks to Prostockhockeysticks for sending me this whole line to look at and make content on and review, as well as if you end up buying one of these sticks because of this video or if it was helpful, please, it would be nice if you put in the comments of your order. Just let them know that you saw this on Hockey Reviews and you wanted to test it out for yourself and you appreciate the reviews. I don't get a kickback or anything with Pro. I'm not associated with Pro. We obviously have a talking relationship and they sent me these sticks, which is great. It would be nice for people to actually know that these videos for them are helpful, and hopefully we can keep doing them in the future lines, as well as just lets them know that I am actually useful and giving some good feedback on it. So that'd be appreciated on my end as well. Remember, subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Links are in the description. Check out the links in the description as well as the pinned comment to Aycane. Click that link and use the coupon code and you'll get a discount, which helps support the channel. It gives me a kickback so I can keep making more content and doing more videos. So you're buying hockey stuff, in this case, base layers or clothing, and it helps support the channel so I can keep making more purchases and doing more reviews. And if you want to support the channel without buying hockey specific things or these base layers, you can always support the channel through Buy Me a Coffee and Patreon. Everything through any of those links always comes back into the channel and it is greatly appreciated.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.